Well, happy Wednesday. Hope you are all having a great hump of the week. Okay, sorry, I don't know why I decided to do that. Anyway, we have to laugh a little bit in our lives, bring that joy in, because this is a very heavy topic. Anyway, we are continuing on with chapter 3. This is decision making. If you have not read the rest of the book, go ahead and check it out. I have other books in the playlist. So yes, anyway, continuing on. Decision making is another area which becomes paralyzed by fear. Many of you report being petrified when faced even with the most inconspicuous decisions. Yet decision making is an integral part of adult life. Not making a decision can be dangerous. Also, not making a decision can also be a decision. I know, just throwing that out there. It depends on the circumstance, but yes. Okay, continuing on. Remember the proverbial donkey who starved to death while trying to decide which bale of hay to eat? Okay, see, I've never heard that. But anyway, opportunities can slip by while you're trying to, quote unquote, make the right decision. It is important to remember that not choosing is a choice. Hey, didn't I just say that? It is a choice to be a victim of fate. It is better to make a choice to do something than a choice not to. That entails you allowing that there is more than one right way to do things. The one you choose doesn't have to be wrong. It doesn't have to be what someone else would choose. But it could be one of the right ways. Once you have chosen, stop wondering the what if I had chosen the other way or one of the other ways. This is a waste of time and energy and you don't have time for it. Go with your decision and keep going. If you made the wrong one, then learn from it. If you made one of the right ones, then be happy with it. You won't be able to control every aspect of your choice. Whenever you run into something you didn't expect, then it's time again to make a choice about what to do. You don't have to worry about it ahead of time. Just have faith in yourself to be able to handle whatever comes by. Okay, so I'm not going to lie to you guys. I hate that she wrote the victim of fate. There are times where sometimes you don't have control, right? You can be in a circumstance where you have no control to, I don't want to say be in a perpetual cycle, but you don't have control at that moment to make a choice to escape a situation, right? I'm going to get political for a moment here, so just stay with me, okay? Say you're from Gaza, right? Or you're volunteering in Gaza, for example. And everything is happening, right? Or we can even go with Ukraine versus Russia, right? And you're living there and a bomb strikes, right? Now, yeah, sure, I guess you could have the choice of, do I stay in this region or do I leave? What can I do? But you can't change the outcome of what happens, right? It's not like you can necessarily pack up and escape the country, right? Or the region in Gaza, right? You can only do so much, right? So say you are, I'm just trying to throw something out here. Okay, say you are stranded on a boat in the middle of the ocean, right? And you have little to no supplies. What are you going, how are you going to find land when you're in the middle of the ocean with no supplies? You have no radio, right? You can't call for help. What are you going to do? You literally are a victim of fate. Now, that's not to say that there aren't other choices, what tools do you have? Can you survive? and maybe fish while you're doing that, right? Could you jump out of the boat? And, I would never recommend jumping out of the boat, but you guys try to understand my point. Like, you're still a victim of the fate, right? Like, I just hate that wordage that she used. Hold on. The dog wants in, and then he wants out, and then he wants in, and then he wants out. Can you make up your mind, sir? Thank you. I swear. Anyway, we're going to continue on. Hopefully the dog doesn't bother me anymore. Hi, sir. Okay. Continuing on. Many birth mothers have difficulties with decision making because their quote-unquote decision to give up their babies. Let's change that to relinquish their babies. The pain of that decision, that relinquishment, right, makes many of them wary of their ability to make those decisions. For many birth mothers, however, the choice was not theirs, but society's, or their parents, and thus society's. In the present state of values in our society, many of them would have made a different decision. It is important for birth mothers to realize that they need to live in the present and that they can make good decisions for themselves today. If this is not happening, then some counseling to help them with them would be advised. So I do agree with that. Having a counseling moment is great. Having a community of fellow birth moms can also be great. And I say can because obviously, even with adoptees, like a circle jerk of adoptees, right? Like you just hear the same thing over and over again instead of actually, how do we move out of this moment? How do we do better? How do we change the system? Right. And that goes back to the what to do in this chapter. How do we make a change to the system and the industry? It may not be even a personal change, right? It may not even be something that affects us personally, right? So I've talked about this before with name changes. A lot of adoptees want a way to change their names legally, right? Besides having to go through the court and stuff. An amendment to legislation. Or not necessarily name change, an annulment, let's put it that way. An annulment to adoption. Neither one of these things would necessarily affect my choice, right? But it would affect other people's choices. It would allow other people to have that choice for their own self. And that is okay, right? Okay, continuing on. For both adoptees and birth mothers, it is essential to incorporate experiences that happened since the one quote-unquote fatal decision, which seemed to stop everything in its tracks. That would be the relinquishment. How have you handled difficult situations or crises in your life since then? Were you able to stop and analyze the true situation and make an intervention that worked? Were you able to take one step at a time rather than seeing the whole thing as overwhelming? Were you able to ask for help? This is a big no-no for many adoptees. There is a creed, I shall never ask for help. This as they go about rescuing everyone else. Oh my gosh. Okay, we are going to talk about that. We are going to talk about it. Asking for help is it's so hard for so many of us. And I posted on my TikTok, and I'll post it here in the shorts as well, that we go about trying to rescue everyone else to heal, right? To help heal other people when it's us that need the healing. And it's our way of trying to heal ourselves. And it like hits us hard. I think that was somewhere where the quote is, similar to where the quote is. Yeah, like we become, I don't want to say people pleasers, but we become nurses and doctors and maybe lawyers or social workers, teachers. A lot of us are mothers. We work with the vulnerable, right? The people that need our empathy the most, or our help when we also need the help, right? I can admit to myself that when I need the most help, I tend to go quiet and I tend to go offline. Okay. I don't ask for help. I don't talk about it. Sometimes I don't have the words to even I don't have like the capacity to put into words. It's just a mood, right? But we don't have we don't have the help that we need in that moment. And then some people, and I'll admit I've been there before, get upset when we feel like there's nobody there for us, right? Sometimes it's our own fault because I gotta say, we don't ask for help. But I'm only laughing because I'm laughing at myself, guys. I think it's one thing to say like, hey, I need help, and nobody comes about, and then you get upset, right? Whereas you expect people to read your mind or read your mood, like that's not it. And sometimes a lot of us have control issues, right? Where we have to be in control of everything. Anyway, continuing on. Well, take a chance, ask for help. You get no points for quote unquote doing it yourself, that DIY. Remember that human beings were meant to be independent, to help one another. Are you human? Of course you are. Then act like it. Take a chance and give and take. It may be difficult to make decisions about your life if you don't know who you are. One of the barriers to adoptees making decisions may be vagueness about who they really are. Spending your whole life trying to figure out how others have wanted you to be or to act makes listening to intuition and instinct about you really feel like a novelty. And again, it may be stifled by fear of disappointing or hurting or angering someone else. This book is for adults, and adults have to begin doing what is best for them, not what everyone else wants them to do. But we go again to the place where we have to know who we are before we can make good decisions about what we should do. Self-knowledge is essential to the decision-making process. Adoptive parents, come to the forefront, please. Take a seat. Okay, we're going to have a quick little discussion here. It is vital for you to always give the adoptee the truth. Give them access to their information. Birth parents, if your adoptee is looking for a reunion or looking just for answers, give it to them. Give it to them straight. If you do not have the answer, just say, hey, I don't have that. I wish I did. I wish I could give you an answer for that. That is an answer. It's okay to not know everything. Okay? But you guys, and I'm putting this as a guys, as in both adoptive parents and birth parents, okay? You guys owe us the truth. And really, it's also the government that is hiding our information, and that is a human rights violation. So do what you can to help us. Okay, continuing on. Remember that trying and failing is better than not trying at all. Not trying is a 0. Trying and failing is a lesson and earns points. Remember that no matter how things turn out, you will be better off no matter what your decision, because you will have always learned something. You will have grown in your outlook. At least you have as much courage as you did when you were a year old and got up on your feet and took that first step. what if you had never taken that risk? There are steps you can take to ensure a better result when you have to make a decision. For adoptees, being impulsive isn't one of them. Acting on an impulse is not always a bad thing, but too many of the impulses that adoptees act on are self-destructive or inappropriate. So yes, a lot of us can go through self-destruction. This ends up with a lot of adoptees, unaliving themselves or going through substance abuse issues. Many end up homeless or in the prison system. It's awful, to say the least. Can we get out of that spiral? Absolutely. But in part, it has to be on us as the individual. But having that community to love you no matter what will help. That doesn't mean you enable the person, right? I'm not saying, give them money and then they can go get, substances. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is sometimes knowing that there is still love there no matter how bad it gets is important. Sometimes just lending an ear, right? Okay, continuing on. So for adoptees, decisions should be well thought out. That doesn't mean that adoptees should not pay attention to intuition. Many times, intuition is better than rationality. Knowing the difference between intuition, impulse, and projection is essential when using intuition for decision making. People who act on impulse usually act in spite of their intuitive or rational knowledge. Making a decision involves either a strong intuitive certainty that some action will be the right one, or it involves taking several steps to ensure that a rational decision is made. Investigating a situation is the smart thing to do. Decide on a procedure that you can live with by establishing priorities. What do you need to do first? Find different resources for your idea. Books, journals, professionals, the internet, etc. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Someone may have ideas that you never thought of. If an idea doesn't work, don't be afraid to try something else. Don't be like so many scientists over the ages and stubbornly protect your sacred truth by denying the fallibility of it. When new information is introduced, it may change the way you want to proceed. That is a good thing. It is not a good thing to get all hot and bothered because your first idea didn't work and you are going to make it work no matter what. Remember that you are succeeding if you are learning. Don't try to predict every outcome of every aspect of your decision. That takes all the fun and excitement out of trying new things. Expect the unexpected, then deal with it. If your expectations didn't work, don't have a fit. Maybe something better is about to happen. Many really helpful things have been discovered while something else was being worked on. Most inventors will vouch for that. So will pharmaceutical companies. You really don't have to control every aspect of whatever's going on. All you have to do is have faith that you can deal with whatever does happen, and you can. You have before. So as Peter Pan would say, faith, trust, and pixie dust. That's kind of how she is describing it, right? It's okay to see things from different perspectives. It's okay to try new things. It's okay to fail and try again, as Yoda would say, in better ways. It is okay. We learn something. One of my life mantras is to learn something new every day, right? Even if it's a small something, that is okay. It may completely change my mind on something and it may not. It doesn't matter. You try, right? But one of the best things to do for yourself is to try to have as much faith in yourself. As I was talking about before, make your SMART goals, your SMART goals, right? Have your vision boards. Work on your 1 year, 5 year, 10-year plans, right? And it's okay to revise those. It's okay to do it for 6 months. Go back in 6 months, see how it worked out, right? I know someone who planned 3 months ahead for content, right? Reevaluated and then planned the next 3 months. What can I do better? What can I change? What is or is not working, right? Now, this was in terms of, her blog and social media and all that. And it really works for her. Her plan was always she always worked she had 3 weeks on, 1 week off in a month, right? And so she would, during those 3 weeks, she had her plan out, right, for the 3 months. She would plan it. She would have her social media set, everything. And then during that 1 week, she was able to either relax, she could do what she wanted, things like that. Some people do 4 weekdays, right? They work four days out of the week, have an extra, day to relax or get things done, and then move on. Whatever makes your life easier, that is okay. You will find your system. I know I'm working on my system. My system doesn't always work. I have really bad ADHD and autism, and it comes out sometimes, and I can't stay focused. So currently I'm using legal pads to plan things, and you know what? That's always been, I gotta say, that's kind of been my thing. I know it sounds weird, but I like to list make, and if I keep that list organized, I know what I am doing. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow for the next piece of this chapter. And from expectation to intention, dealing with change. And I hope you all have a terrific day.